New All Too True Blue State Histories Parodies. Excerpt from the New All Too True Blue History of Alabama. Time immemorial. Ungulates and mound builders. The first souls in Alabama were ungulates. The first humans in Alabama were the mound builders. They lived at Moundville, at the Moundville Archaeological Site. Those silly mound builders spent all of their time making and eating mounds candy bars and building humongous mound-shaped storage areas for them, which they referred to as mound mountains, on top of which they erected their domiciles. That is not an exaggeration. They spent all of their time making and eating mound bars and constructing mound-shaped objects. That explains why they went extinct. It was a self-inflicted eradication, but at least they passed out of existence doing what they enjoyed the most. They left with a smile on their faces, albeit a rather goofy one. Enough of those buffoons, and next came the Europeans. 1702, capital of New France on the Mobile River. The French established a fort on the Mobile River. For the following 9 years, Fort Louis served as the capital of what the fort builders brazenly referred to as New France. After the fort was flooded, you got to expect flooding when you build something next to a river, in 1711 a new fort was built on high ground at a point which would eventually become the settlement of Mobile, the first permanent Euro-American settlement in Alabama. A club they called Big Jack's was built there a bit later. It follows a photorealistic rendering of the fort. Believe it or not, Fort Louis was named for Louis Armstrong, who was the famed boogie-woogie bugle boy for Company C stationed there. 1809, Sequoyah creates a written form of Cherokee. Starting in 1809, Sequoyah began creating a system of writing for his lingo, Cherokee, in Alabama. Rather than creating a symbol for each word, his first idea, or one for each letter, such as most languages do, he compromised and created a symbol for each syllable in the spoken Cherokee language. This meant that Sequoyah ended up with a written language comprised of 86 characters. Each character corresponded to one of the 86 syllables used in that lingua india. To teach his method, Sequoyah then invented the piano, making sure it had 86 keys, one to correspond with each Cherokee syllable symbol. In this way, Cherokees can talk to each other by playing the keyboards. But the piano is not the only Rosetta Stone for Cherokees. Communication amongst them is also made possible via the pipe organ, harpsichord, etc. Anything with 86 notes. This leads to a lot of mirth and mixed, that is, Cherokee and non-Cherokee, company, as the Cherokee can freely share their wry observations on any Euro-Americans present with one another. If you ever see a Cherokee person tickling the ivories or playing some other keyboard instrument and smiling, this is probably what's going on. In fact, here's a sculpture of Sequoyah doing this very thing. While his friend Rita Coolidge was tickling the ivories, he was transcribing what she was saying about her cousin Calvin, who was, despite being her father's brother, not a Cherokee, into his native, no pun intended, tongue. Another top-secret message transcribed from Rita's ivory tickling was, "The business of America is funny business." 1814, Jackson beats the bushes for the cricks. In 1814, when he should have been focused on whipping the British in the town of New Orleans, Andrew Jackson, great-great-grandfather of Reggie, was fighting Creek Indians, both those who had supported him in earlier forays against other tribes and those who hadn't. Impressed by Jackson's military skill, acumen, and treachery, the Creeks ceded nearly half Alabama to the United States. Creeks, rivers, land, bounds, and all. This means that if you look at a colored section of the map below at random, the chances are 50-50 that the area you're gazing at had been owned by the Creek until Jackson sent them up themselves without a paddle. Half of the colored pieces parts are former Creek holders, you see in the picture there. The complete book, the new All Too True Blue History of Alabama, is available on the internet, on Amazon.com. Clay Shannon is also the author of the book The Zany Time Travels of Warren McGorkle, also available on Amazon.